This is the main event of the Quantum CBD H2O Rumble at Remington, presented by Sailor Jerry. We are at Remington Park Casino in Oklahoma City. Tonight's fight's brought to you by HD Boxing. Good evening. I'm Andrew Spino, joined ringside by former Oklahoma heavyweight champion Darren Humphrey, and we have two undefeated cruiserweight contenders in the ring for our main event. It is Marcus Sanchez versus Twon Smith. Let's send it up in the ring to Thomas Strider.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our Quantum CBD H2O Rumble at Remington, presented by Sailor Jerry, featured contest. It is scheduled for 6 rounds in the Cruiserweight division, and it is being brought to you by HD Boxing. It is sanctioned by the Oklahoma State Athletic Commission. Commissioners in attendance, Malcolm Atwood. Robert Manchester. Executive Director is Joe Miller. Our 3 judges scoring on a 10-point must system will be Sarah Atwood, David Sutherland, and Gary Ritter. When the bell rings, our referee in charge, third man in the ring, will be Gerald Ritter. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the time has arrived. From Remington Park, here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, this is our main event of the evening. Introducing to you first, fighting tonight out of the blue corner. He's wearing black with gold and weighed in at 184 pounds. His professional record, undefeated with 3 wins. 2 of his 3 wins come by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, from right here, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, he's representing Western Avenue Boxing Gym. Here is Twon Smith. And his opponent across the ring in his main event, fighting tonight out of the red corner. He's wearing black with gray and weighed in at 186 pounds. Undefeated, he has 6 wins. 4 of his 6 wins come by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, from Chickasha, Oklahoma, please welcome Marcus Milk Sanchez.
Okay, fighters, you are received your instructions in the dressing room. I want you to obey my commands. Protect yourself at all times. Let's have a good, clean fight. Keep your punches up. Both your trunks are good. Touch gloves. Let's get after it.
Put on the show, baby.
Here we go, our main event here at the Rumble at Remington. 2 undefeated cruiserweights. Sanchez 6-0, Smith 3-0. Darren Humphrey, even though Sanchez has twice the experience Smith does, fighting a little ring rust. Hasn't really been that active in the last 2 years. What should we expect?
Well, as far as what to expect, I'm not 100% sure about that, but what you said is correct. Sanchez obviously has a 6-0 record where Mr. Smith comes in at 3-0. Mr. Smith's been really active the last year or so, I think maybe he has the edge coming into the fight.
And we saw Twon Smith on our last HD boxing card. He scored a very impressive first-round knockout against a journeyman fighter. And I may be a little generous even in using the term journeyman.
Good right hook to the body there.
Very good. Twon Smith he's a power puncher and very difficult to hit. He's a very elusive fighter, but so is Marcus Milk Sanchez.
Yeah, a couple of good body shots there by Milk Sanchez. Both these guys look heavy-handed. I think it's going to come down to determination. I think they're evenly matched.
Sanchez.
Good jab there by Smith.
Sanchez has 4 first-round KOs on his record. He's known as a power puncher, and he just landed a heavy right hand to the rib cage of Twon Smith. Now, we've seen Twon Smith fight before, and we saw him do very well. Good heavy hands, elusive fighter, hard to hit. But he was not in with a fighter the caliber of Marcus Milk Sanchez.
Oh, good right hand there by Smith. You know, you have a good point there. He hadn't been in with the caliber of these fighters, but it looks like Smith, to me, took this training camp seriously. To me, he looks a little bit thinner than the last few times I've seen him fight. You know, I think this is an evenly matched fight. Anything's going to happen.
Twon Smith, of course, fighting out of the Western Avenue Gym, which is the gym of the winner of our co-main event, which was Dennis Knife Chief. These two kind of feeling each other out, and Twon Smith, frankly, I'm surprised he's so relaxed. He's able to stand with his back up against the ropes so confidently.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Sanchez, Milk Sanchez definitely looks like the, you know, maybe the more calm, you know, you could call that more experienced fighter. However, I do believe Smith has the quicker hands tonight.
He does. Who has the heavier hands might be the toss-up. But I'll tell you this, Sanchez really
good right
maximizes leverage out of those punches. Oh, and a good counter left right as Smith was charging in. Sanchez landed a beautiful left hook. Smith, I thought, may have staggered, but he took it like a champ as we end round one. Round two is coming up.
Go get that stool out there.
Welcome back to the Rumble at Remington, presented by Sailor Jerry HD Boxing. This fight, 6 rounds in the Cruiserweight division, 2 undefeated guys in there. Twon Smith in the black and gold trunks. Marcus Milk Sanchez in the black with red trim, or rather with gray trim. Darren Humphrey, tough first round to score. How'd you have it?
Well, once again, I'm glad I'm not a judge. I'm just here to call the fight. So if I've got to score it, I would call it maybe a 10-10 round. I don't know that any fighter necessarily had the advantage. I think Smith maybe had the heavier hands potentially, but I think Sanchez came back with a good shot at the end of that round. So it's a toss-up to me.
And while neither fighter was clearly dominant in round one, I would have given it to Sanchez just on his body punching. He's so brutal to that rib cage, and we just saw him land some beautiful punches to Smith's rib cage against the ropes. Right there, he ended up catching Smith's elbows, but those punches that land are taking a toll. We're in round number 2 of a 6-round fight, and if Smith keeps taking body shots like that, it should be interesting to see how this shapes up. You'll notice Smith has his hands a bit lower now, his elbows a bit tighter on his rib cage. Oh, I think Twon Smith is hurt. I think Smith is hurt.
I agree with that. Oh, yeah.
Oh, but
I agree.
He worked his way out with a big right hand. Sanchez raises his arms as if it's nothing, but Smith got himself out of the corner and really stopped Sanchez's momentum there. Both these guys very evenly matched, both very athletic, good boxers, both landing very effective punches. I'd have to give a slight edge in technique to Sanchez.
Great body shot there by Smith.
Yeah, but you know, Sanchez was kind of moving away. It was kind of a glancing blow.
Stop! Watch your head. Back up.
Sanchez.
Back up. Watch your head.
Sanchez grabbed him under the, had like a double underhook and came in with his head there. That's what Ritter was talking about.
Pushed Smith against the turnbuckle. Referee Gerald Ritter calling Sanchez out for that, but
Sanchez has been out of the ring basically for the last 2 years, but let's keep in mind
never
he's been fighting MMA.
But what a counter right hand by Twon Smith. That definitely hurt Marcus Sanchez. Sanchez landed some beautiful body shots, but while his hands were down, Smith countered with a looping right that landed flush to Sanchez's jaw. Here at the end of round 2, we got round 3 coming up.
Back up.
Welcome back to the Quantum CBD H2O Rumble at Remington, presented by Sailor Jerry. This is round 3 of a 6-round cruiserweight fight. Both these guys undefeated. Marcus Sanchez in the
way back. All the way back.
Marcus Sanchez in the black trunks with gray trim. Twon Smith in the black trunks with the gold trim. Darren Humphrey. Very difficult round number 2 to score, as there were ebbs and flows and the action went back and forth. How'd you have it?
Well, I knew you were going to ask me that, so I was thinking in the break. You know, I don't know that I can go back and change my score on the first round necessarily. Not that I am changing it, but I think I would say it's 1-1. I mean, it's a close, hard fight. Both these guys are landing clean punches. You know, anything can happen.
Definitely an even fight. Both guys have been staggered. I think they both have tremendous respect for each other's punching power, but that's not slowing down the pace at all. I think the only thing that eclipses their respect for the other's punching power is the confidence each one has in his own punching power.
Right. I would agree with that. And they're both throwing heavy shots.
So here we are in the middle of round 3 of a 6-round fight. Can two guys keep up this kind of pace?
By Smith. I think Smith hurt him with the body there.
Smith definitely has him hurt. Sanchez very smartly ties him up, pushes him off against the ropes, buy himself a few seconds. But Twon Smith, I think, is really gaining momentum in this fight as the more effective fighter on the inside.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he just has a little more determination right now, and that's probably going to be the difference in the fight.
And that determination is what allows him to take body shots like he just did against Sanchez and counter with that kind of right hand. I've seen a shift in kind of the facial expression and the attitude of Sanchez. I think this fight is much more than he expected.
Another good right hand by Smith.
It really was.
Smith's doing the right thing. He's fighting a southpaw. He needs to be leading with his right hand, and that's exactly what he's doing.
And Sanchez, I think, is having a tougher night than he expected. You can actually see the burns on his back from the shots he's taken while he's been against the ropes.
And the frustration. I would agree. Another good body shot.
Very nice body shot.
And I just think Smith wants it more. He's more intention.
And I think he's hurting Sanchez.
Right, another good body shot. He's ripping those shots to the body.
He is. And Sanchez,
and a great uppercut there.
I think Sanchez is really hurting Smith in the first couple rounds. Sanchez does not have the steam on his punches that he did then, and Smith is really coming on with all he's got, and he has dominated here in round 3. We have round 4 coming up.
Time.
Here we go, round 4 of this 6-round cruiserweight bout. Oklahoma City, Remington Park. Marcus Sanchez in the black trunks. Twon Smith in the black with the gold trim. And Sanchez, after having a rough round 3, looks like he has Twon Smith in trouble. Sanchez coming on strong with brutal body punches downstairs and upstairs, landing almost everything he throws, and Twon Smith looks like he got the worst of that exchange and is taking some shots now.
Yeah, and it looks like Sanchez's corner obviously told him what happened in that last round with a body shot, so he's coming out this time. Oh, and great right uppercut to the body there by Smith.
That was a very nice
Sanchez
right
does answer, though.
Yeah, Sanchez winced on that punch.
Yep. And I think Sanchez's corner told him that he needs to come out and work the body like Smith has been working his.
Sanchez's right eye beginning to swell, mouse developing right underneath the right eye.
I just think Sanchez looks like the more tired fighter.
He does.
At this point.
He looks like Twon Smith was more than he expected. Twon Smith really applying great pressure, and even though he took a pretty solid shellacking at the beginning of round number 4 here, Twon Smith seems to have gotten his bearings back and is starting to initiate the action and really dictate the geography of this fight, which he was not doing in the early rounds.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And to me, it kind of I think Smith definitely looks like the fresher fighter at this point. Sanchez is throwing maybe a little more punches, but I think it's all maybe in Smith's it's what he's trying to do. I think he's setting Sanchez up. I think he's going to land a big right hand here in a minute.
Well, Sanchez is a great body puncher. He has a slick, unorthodox style, plus throwing the fact that he's a southpaw, and it's understandable that Twon Smith is having some trouble figuring him out. But I think Twon Smith, even though he's taking a few shots right now, has the momentum in the fight.
Oh, good right hand there by Smith. It landed to Sanchez's shoulder, however. You know, and to Sanchez's credit, I think he's maybe throwing the more punches this round. They're not meaningful punches, but I think he's throwing more punches.
He is. I think Sanchez is probably outlanding Smith 3-2, but the punches just aren't as effective.
Exactly.
He does not have the power and steam that he did in the earlier rounds, like those brutal body punches.
Right
and Twon Smith rocks
body shot.
Sanchez.
Beautiful body shot.
Sanchez very smartly ties Twon Smith up. Twon Smith allows him to do so as we come to the end of round 4, and I think while this was a relatively even round, I think Twon Smith stole the round in the last 15 seconds.
I think it's 3-1.
We have just ended round 4 of this 6-round bout, and Darren, I gotta say, this has been a tricky fight to score. How do you have it so far?
Well, like I said before the end of the round, I think it's 3-1 Smith. However, I've had a few friends text me that are here tonight that maybe have it 4-0 Smith. So,
well, you know,
it's a great fight, I'll tell you that.
It's definitely a great fight, and God knows what any friends in the audience are thinking. But the important thing is what the judges are seeing. 3 of them, of course, at ringside. And this fight very well could go the distance. I'd give the edge to Twon Smith. Sanchez starts every round very well, piling up points, but Twon Smith just seems to steal the momentum by the end of the round.
Right, and this is something that a trainer of mine told me when I first started boxing amateur, and I've kind of lived by it through my whole career, is that, and what he said is that everybody's tough at first. That's who's going to be tough for the remainder of the fight that's going to win.
That is exactly correct. We are in round 5 of this 6-round cruiserweight bout. Both fighters undefeated. Marcus Sanchez in the black trunks with silver trim, and once again, he is giving it all, unloading on Twon Smith here at the beginning of round 1. It actually looked like referee Gerald Ritter was considering stepping in, but I think he was more concerned with the rabbit punches that were accidentally landing by Sanchez, giving him a warning to keep his punches up. But Twon Smith has weathered each of those storms at the beginning of the round, and Twon Smith, I think he has an edge in conditioning, and that's why he's been able to steal each round so far.
Right, I would agree with that. As you mentioned, Sanchez comes out hard. He actually comes out and throws really good combinations at the beginning of the rounds.
He does, and Twon Smith is still throwing hard, bone-breaking shots. And as Twon Smith pulled that overhand right away from the face of Sanchez, you could see for the first time a big purple bruise forming over the right eye, in addition to the mouse under the left eye of Marcus Sanchez.
Yeah. And you can see that
5 rounds into
Sanchez. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was saying we're 5 rounds into a 6-round fight. Will that play a factor?
Oh, well, maybe. I don't think so necessarily at this point. You know, like you said, we're 5 rounds into a 6-round fight. I don't think it'll be a factor.
Sanchez hardly out of this fight. Twon Smith nods his head as if to say, good shot, and definitely milk Sanchez. Landed some brutal shots, but what a right hand by Twon Smith, and Marcus Sanchez takes it right on the chin and frankly doesn't budge. How much frustration builds up by a fighter like Twon Smith when you're hitting a guy with his best shots and he keeps firing back?
Well, it's frustrating. That's when you know you're in for a long fight, and Smith is certainly doing that. If you notice, Smith has turned southpaw in this round, and he's banging that right hook to the body and then back to the head.
Very effective.
Yes.
Sanchez, though, still, again, very much in this fight, and he's He's determining a lot of the pace of his fight with that southpaw jab, tying up Smith when he gets in close. But still, I think this was another Twon Smith round.
I agree.
As we come to the end of the fifth, the sixth and final round is next. Here we go. Sixth round of this six-round cruiserweight fight. Both of these guys undefeated, records are on the line. Marcus Sanchez with the black and gray trunks, undefeated at 6-0, fighting Twon Smith in the black and gold trunks, 3-0. And so far, I have Twon Smith winning this fight 4-1. Darren Humphreys, how do you have it?
Well, it'd be hard to disagree with that. I think maybe 3-2 Smith, but either way, Smith is winning this fight at this point, in my opinion.
He is, but Sanchez, hard overhand left right as Smith was coming in. You saw the sweat spray off the head of Twon Smith, and Sanchez actually looks like a different fighter than he was in round 5, much more determined and throwing a lot more punches.
Right, but remember, he's come out every round and done that initially. He comes out, wins the first minute of the round, and then, kind of lays off after that. So
very good point.
Oh,
but that's
he's
got to be.
Leather there.
Twon Smith unloading, body and head and body. Twon Smith has a look on his face like he has had enough, and that right hook to the rib cage of Sanchez hurt. But look at Sanchez keeping him at bay with that jab, followed by the right hand, triple jab and a right hand. Sanchez very effective, staying on his feet while keeping Smith at range. But Smith can unload with explosive power at any moment.
Yeah, I certainly don't think Smith is far enough ahead to maybe take this round off and maybe coast to a win. Certainly wouldn't recommend that.
Yes, he certainly, yes. I have it scored 4-1, but I could see it being scored 3-2, and he does not want to leave this round in the hands of the judges.
No.
Stop, break.
Although I think it will go to the judges, he wants to make it decisive. I guess that's what I meant to say. I don't see a knockout before the end of this round.
Well, and what I like about Smith, too, is he's willing to bury his head in Sanchez's chest and throw body shots and make something happen. He's the more determined fighter.
Smith also very tricky, coming out of the clinches, throwing punches opposite side of the referee. A very pro move, skilled move for a guy who's 3-0.
Yeah, and that's a good point, and I think that comes from training to fight, in the southpaw stance and the orthodox stance. And Smith just landed 3 good hooks to Sanchez's head there, coming out of the clinch, like you just mentioned. Oh, and a good uppercut there.
Sanchez raking him with punches, but not as effective as Twon Smith.
And
unloads here at the end of the fight. And that is the end of round 6. We are going to the judges' scorecards. One of these fighters will lose the O on their record. Who will it be? We will find out when we get the judges' decision right after this. We are back at the Quantum CBD H2O Rumble at Remington. Our main event, 2 undefeated cruiserweight contenders go to the scorecards. We're going to get the judge's decision right now. Send it up to Thomas Schreiber in the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards, and all 3 judges, Sarah Atwood, David Sutherland, and Gary Ritter, score it the same, 58-56, all in favor of your winner by unanimous decision. From Chickasha, Oklahoma, Marcus Sanchez.
Marcus Milk Sanchez going up to 7-0. All 3 judges Scoring it the same way, 58-56. Sanchez winning a unanimous decision. Darren Humphrey, I gotta say, I am surprised by that decision. I thought Smith won that fight.
Yeah, I agree. I'm certainly, I'm not sure. I'm not a judge, but I'm not sure what they saw. I definitely don't agree with that. I think it was a clear-cut, unanimous decision victory for Smith for sure.
Well, you never know how judges are going to score it, and there's a lesson for all the kids out there.
Yep.
Don't leave it to the judges.
Exactly.
Take it out of their hands. Get the guy out of there. Well, I'll tell you, Darren, this was an unbelievable night of action-packed boxing here at Remington Park. HD Boxing, of course, brought us tonight's show. We always get great cards out of them. But this, I have to say, was particularly special. Any final thoughts as we end tonight's program?
Well, the final thought would be that every single fight tonight was a great fight, and just think that's what you expect with an HD Boxing and MMA card. And, I got to give it up to them. We may not agree with the decisions, but, hey, we're just here to call it. We're not judges, but, hey, it was a great fight either way.
Everybody sees the fight differently, but the judges saw it as a unanimous decision for Marcus Sanchez, pulling out the win over undefeated Twon Smith in our main event. This has been HD Boxing at Remington Park Casino in Oklahoma City. The Quantum CBD H2O Rumble at Remington, presented by Sailor Jerry. I'm Andrew Spino, ringside with the champ, Darren Humphrey. Thank you so much for joining us for a great night of boxing. We will see you next time from HD Boxing Inside the Ring.